So it's really hard to escape the heat this weekend, even if you're just getting out to your car or coming back in, and there's big concerns for heat exhaustion.
That's why we brought out the props and our friend, Dr. Payal Kohli.
Not just props, but we're drinking them, right?
Yeah, not just, yeah, we're actually going to drink from these. Heat stroke, the easy signs of heat stroke. Let's just get that out of the way right now.
Yeah, so we lose hundreds of Americans every year to heat stroke. So this is a life-threatening condition, an emergency, something everybody needs to know how to recognize. So I go head to toe. So if you look at the head, they have an altered level of consciousness. They could be slurring their speeches. Maybe they're not as responsive to the questions that you're asking, and they're just a little bit out of it. Then you go down to their chest. They're breathing a lot faster, and their heart is pounding as fast as it can because the heart and the lungs are trying as hard as they can to give off as much heat as possible. The body is decompensating. So if you put your hands on their skin, it's hot and it's dry if it's just from the heat. If they collapse during exercise, for example, then it would be hot and wet. Ooh. But their skin is extremely hot. Their body temperature is over 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And if they're kind of awake enough, they'll complain of nausea or they'll complain of headache. So really life-threatening condition we should all know about.
And call 911 I saw on that screen. Like, don't even try to treat it yourself.
No,
don't
you
give somebody
should.
Water.
No, treat it while you're waiting. So the first thing to do, you see somebody collapsed, call 911 for help. Ask them, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Rub on their chest. Then you feel their pulse, because what is the consequence of heat stroke? The heart is going so fast that it stops, it collapses.
Okay.
So you want to make sure you don't need to give CPR, but if somebody's got a pulse, you can feel the pulse, but it's just very fast, they're not responding. You start cooling them down. You move them to a cool place. You can even bring in a garden hose or buckets of water, start throwing cool water on them to cool them down as quickly as possible. Wow. Put ice in their armpits, put them in a bathtub. Anything you can do to get that temperature down so that the heart doesn't arrest.
Oh,
I feel like I do that at cold showers after I go for a run in 90 degrees, which is a silly thing to do. So after those runs, clearly water is a great thing to drink, but so give me some of the best and worst, because I start my day with black coffee, then I go to an extra hot latte. These are probably the wrong ways to go on a hot day.
Yeah, so I'm talking about heat stroke, which is the end of the line. The beginning of the line is dehydration, and then we have heat exhaustion, which many of us get with headaches. So the way you can prevent all this, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. So the best thing, of course, is water, plain old water. That's one of the best ones. If you don't love water, you can do coconut water, because that has a lot of other electrolytes in it, especially if you're somebody who sweats a lot. The fruit smoothies are a great idea, and low-fat or fat-free milk is actually very hydrating as well.
Really?
Yes. So,
but not Gatorade and things like that.
No, so that's the opposite. I don't want you to have Gatorade, because that's good for an athlete who's using up a lot of sugar, but for us to take a lot of sugar when we're hot is actually a bad idea. So those kind of sugary drinks are a bad idea. I don't want you to have sodas. So people love to have an ice cold Diet Coke or something, but that caffeine is very dehydrating, just like the coffee, just like that iced coffee is going to do for you. And then you want to make sure not to have any other beverages that have alcohol in them, for example, because alcohol is a diuretic. It makes you urinate, and so it can be refreshing in that moment, but it actually dehydrates you much more and impairs your body's ability to regulate its temperature.
So you brought this up when you were walking in. I mean, not to get too personal, but we are supposed to be going to the bathroom every couple of hours.
Yes, we are. And that is how we know if we're getting behind. So by the time you have your headache, you feel thirsty, you feel lethargic, you're behind. You're way behind. So the first signs of dehydration are lack of skin turgor. Our skin doesn't feel, quite as elastic as it should, and decreased urine output. This is how we also watch our kids and our pets, for example, during the heat, because they can't always tell us, elderly as well. So people really should be going to the bathroom every few hours. It should be a large, normal volume of urine, and it should be light yellow or clear. So if you're having a dark yellow, small amount of urine, or if you're having a headache like I have today, that means you've fallen behind and you really need to keep up on that hydration.
This is if you're dark yellow.
That's right.
If you're light yellow.
That's right.
We're drinking right now. All good things we need to pay attention to for the next few days, Dr. Kohli. Thank you.
Very much so.
Okay.
Stay cool, guys.
Yeah, and all this information, you can always get Dr. Kohli's advice at 9news.com/Dr. Kohli.